Hello friends, welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today we're going to be designing a lined vertical planner layout for September in my health and fitness planner. So come play with me. And I've got these washi tapes here all ready to go, as well as these narrative hues overlay tapes I can use, a set of stat stickers I made on my computer, and these Happy Planner sticker books, which I'll pull from. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and lay down some wax paper here to start things off. I did do a little bit of pre-planning, figuring out what I wanted to do this week, and have decided on using this really large quote out of the Sophisticated Floral sticker book, trimming off the floral elements and just using the large words, along with those apples that came from the teacher sticker book on the side. So not exactly sure how I want to position these items just yet. Looking for some places that they will fit and feel like a part of the design. I'm definitely going to do a gradient of color across the spread somehow with the apples, so I'm thinking about that. I also thought it would be good to integrate the apples a little bit into the quote, so I'll be doing that, and that should help cover up a little bit of that excess of the florals that are within the quote. So that's the plan. I also have this huge page of circle clear stickers with apples inside of them that I've pre-cut out already, most of the apples that I plan to use, just to help beef up the kind of gradient of color I'll be working with in the apple area. So like I said, I pre-cut those. I just used my precision cutter and kind of drew around each of the apples to basically get them to be singled out from the circle stickers. And now I'm going to start dropping in the apples where I think I want them to go. Just get it started, kind of get a feel for how this will look. I was thinking for a while that I might do like all the small ones together and then the larger ones like they're closer to us in their own area. But I think I'm just going to mix them and match them and just use those as a way to emphasize the color a bit more since I don't have a ton of those larger apples. I'm also pulling in some black boxes from the Sophisticated Florals book for my workouts. And I'm also just going to rearrange these a little bit just to kind of figure out where I want those boxes to go. It's a little bit tricky. I don't want to cover up too much of the decor, but I also don't want the boxes just hanging out in isolation. So we'll figure out how everything will work together in the design as we go. I've moved down the quote a bit to maybe focus more on the apples above and leave the quote kind of at the lower half of the spread. See how that looks. I'm also going to drop in those apples on top of the quote, like I said, where it has that little bit of extra hangover from the florals I cut out. And because of that, I decided to cut out this O and flip it upside down so that I could place the apple on the lower half instead of on the upper half. I just think that will balance a little better. So I cut it out and then replaced it. Luckily, it's a symmetrical letter. I don't have to worry about it, so it worked out nicely. And now I'm dropping in the rest of the apples here at the top. I think I am going to just kind of use them across these top boxes. It'll be easiest because there's not a lot of lines to cover up, so I can make a nice clean background for them. And it is about the right size, I think, for what I have to fit in those top boxes, the design. So we'll do that. Let me just finish dropping in the smaller apples here. I'm just going to be kind of random with it, making more of a collage background. And I think that's pretty good. I did reserve a few of those circle stickers for, use in a later spread in case I did want to use those. So I didn't cut out all of the apples. I'm going to drop in the rest of these colorful boxes. I think I'm going to be skipping Mondays as well for workouts, just from looking at my schedule. I have tried to add on more lifting routines on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And then I have on Wednesdays and Fridays usually a friend date where we go walking. So I think Mondays I'm just going to take off, and then always Saturdays usually a rest day for me anyway. We'll see. I'll probably add it back in eventually, but for now, because I'm so busy, I am happy to get another day of rest where I'm not focused on trying to fit in a workout. So I've just put in the 5 boxes there, and I think that'll work out nicely actually as far as balance on the spread. I've dropped in some washi tape across the middle to really hold those quotes together and really bring a little bit of life and color to that area as well. I pulled a few different washis. I was thinking I might layer them, but I don't know. I feel like they're going to be a little bit too much all together. So I really like kind of the solid, plain yellow across the middle. That's really vibing with me, and we'll see if I add in any of the others some other place. I've also grabbed a few more of those black tiny apple stickers, and I was thinking to use those as markers for where to start my food log. So I've laid that in, and it looks pretty good, but maybe I'll do something else. I don't know. Here, I kind of wanted to see if it would look better with a little bit of red too, but again, I really just did like the subtlety of the yellow and the solid color. I think that was looking really good. So now I'm looking for something maybe for the sidebar, and as I was doing that, I saw these shorter like checklist stickers and decided that would really work well with the gradient. I could add those in, and I had the right amount of colors to really make that work. So we're going to drop those in, see how I like them. I think they look pretty good. I'm going to rearrange them though a bit. I think I like the apples as the starter for the stats instead. I think the sizing is good for that, and then that kind of allows me to push those up a little bit as well to give me more room for that food log area. And now I'm just kind of flipping through again, back to looking for something for the sidebar. I was thinking to use maybe this box that's the same color as the apples, just to continue that color scheme, but then I remembered that I used all black boxes across the spread, so maybe it would be better to do a black box instead of one in that color scheme there, the softer, I don't know what color that is, like an off-white ivory tone. And I like that one. It does have a reference to coffee, but I'm happy with that. It ties together well enough, I think. I'm just seeing if I want to add another quote or something here down below, but I really like the delicate look of the grow and the let go. So we'll just stick with that, and I'll figure out something to put in that area later. All right, so I think I'm ready to start moving things over. I did, for a second, think about adding in those narrative hues overlay tapes in the stats area just for some added color, but I don't want to break up the gradient now that I have a couple of areas there with that gradient going forward. So we'll just leave them as is and just do a little bit of whiteout behind the apples where they cross on that darker black line, just to make it look a little cleaner there behind them. And I'll just drop them in pretty quick like. Do like that little added bit. You can actually still read the word steps through the stickers. It's a pretty light drawing. So I do like that. It gives a little bit of something there, a little bit of emphasis, but is still like very readable and functional. So now we're going to try to move over this quote. And I thought I have the positioning right, but I think I was supposed to drop it down one more line, which I didn't do. So it does make things a little tighter at the top, and I'll make an adjustment later. But for now, I'm just going to prep those black lines again so that those don't show through using my white opaque gel pen. And then once that has a second to dry, I will drop them in. Also a little bit here at the top where this apple is going to hit the line as well, and at the bottom on this side. And then I realized that when I laid it in, I wanted the quote to be right on the line, so I needed to adjust this one a little bit. It's just because I do my own inserts, so they're not always like perfect alignment from one page to the next when I cut, so I just wanted to go through and align it the way I wanted it visually. And now we'll drop in those checklists that I use for my food log each day. And this really worked out well, I thought, as far as colors. Really carried through the gradient like I wanted at the bottom. It all worked out really nicely. I'm going to go ahead and prep the top area for the apples now. I'm just going to white out the lines in between the boxes and then some of these lines here in the sidebar as well, just so I can have, again, more of like a clean area to lay in all the apples. I am going to keep that dividing line at the top because I'm going to make that a line of demarcation for apples, so they'll be contained within the two horizontal lines. And that way I have a little bit of extra too to play with when we're done. You'll see, and I can use that to beef up some of the areas that are a little bit more sparse. So we're going to try the roll-off technique. Like I said, the quote, I shifted up one line too many, so things did not fit the same way they did originally, but I will drop them in and we will play around with how they look once I get them onto the page. And this worked decently. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but if you have a bunch of stickers like this in line, you can do this technique with the wax paper where you just roll them straight off if you like to use wax paper like me for pre-planning. And I mean, it did work pretty well. It's a little bit tricky on those tiny apples, but for the most part, it did come off pretty smooth and where they were originally on the wax paper, which was nice. Just going to make a few small adjustments to some of these stickers, place things in the boxes, which had kind of fallen out of the boxes now with the new setup, and then prepare to trim off the top half here on the first horizontal line. And I will save those pieces, again, to beef up the filling, if you will, once I'm done. I'll also go ahead and separate the pages out so they're a little bit easier to work with. And then clean out the holes too, where the washi tape covers the mushroom hole. And I'm just going to use my precision cutter for all of this. The precision cutter is one of my favorite tools for planning. I use it a lot, and it's really great for like this cutting of stickers on top of the paper and not going through. I always had problems when I tried to do an X-Acto knife cut on the sheet. It always would push through to the back, but this tiny little knife really works well if you are trying to cut through a sticker but not cut through your paper. Also, I'm going to fill in the rest of those cutouts as much as I can, moving things around if need be to get it to work. I really like adding in the trimmings to help beef up a spread when I can on the edges, or like this where it's a collage. I feel like that really enhances the look of the spread as a whole. And I think we're getting close to done here. Not much left to do, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also, too, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye!